I just don't know how these people keep getting away with it. I don't know how these algorithm acolytes keep on spawning the jam. I've never seen anything like it. FPL Gameweek 13 saw filthy Phil Foden fire those free hitters flying up the ranks, but all was not lost for people like me who did not play the trip, because there was some little treats in there for us as well. None more so than the super sweet Volta-Mada. What a beautiful goal, going through, lobbing it over Jordan Pickford. And you know, it's funny because I said Pickford, he could be the spoiler, and for my team it was a bit of a spoiler because I of course sold Big Dan Burn, and oh man, it was a hard decision. We talked about it the other night, kill the boy and let the man be born. And up here in the cold north of England, I mean, it feels very Game of Thrones at the minute. I feel like I am at the wall, but my FPL team feels like it is starting to break through the wall, and this is a big one. But I sold Dan Burn, I wasn't happy about it, and then Pickford, I said he'll either be prime Peter Schmeichel or he will give his best Andre Onana impression. And what happened? Well, he managed to troll me in a way I hadn't even anticipated, because what he did was he let that soft shot of Lewis Miley go right through his body. I'm not even sure how he did it, but in doing so, he gifted the assist to Big Dan Burn, the man I of course sold this week, trying to use logic, trying to use reason rather than emotion when it comes to my FPL decisions. And it wasn't a nice feeling really, seeing Big Dan Burn cost me points, but the thinking is it could be worse when it comes to that, because I've not been getting these transfers right so far. I've not been making the big calls, getting them correct. And yes, I have lost a point on the transfer because of Jordan Pickford's unique ways of trolling me. Dan Burn with the little touchback to Miley, and then I don't even know what Pickford did. It's like he kind of teleported the ball through his body, funny like. But so that gave Big Dan Burn 5 points. And I mean, I've got to be thankful for Dewsbury Hall for not making my decision look an awful lot worse, I suppose. But I don't like celebrating goals against Newcastle, but when you're 4-0 up and it saves you looking like a tit in FPL, it could be worse. But yeah, I of course sold Dan Burn for Nico O'Reilly, and again it's a case of what might have been, because Nico O'Reilly, he could have had 20 points yesterday easily. Could have had easily 20 points. I'm trying to stop this sun. You can see it on the little screen on my camera. I'm trying to stop the sun from destroying the image. Yeah, lost my train of thought now, dearie me. This is what happens when I come out and film first thing in the morning. And I'm doing this video in 2 parts because I feel like a lot of the videos recently, because we are approaching the dead of winter and we are in the north of England, of course by the time all the football finishes, it's the dead of night. So I wanted to get a little bit of sunlight in your life, a little bit of that winter chill. This is my favourite type of weather, where it's cold, it's fresh, it's frosty, but the sun is glorious. I mean, look at that. Oh, lovely. But not as lovely as waking up and seeing that I've risen almost 1 million places in the overall rankings now, of course. This is just the halfway point of the game week. There are some big games to come, not least Aston Villa versus Wolves and Crystal Palace versus Man United, and they will be the deciding ones today. I'm not going to talk about them just yet, because in the second part of the video at the end, which will probably be a bit darker, we'll talk about what happened. No point predicting when you will know the outcomes. When we get there, I do you know what, I will risk looking at it, and I think today's going to work out all right for me. I think Wolves are going to score, I think Rodgers is going to blank, and I think Munoz gets an attacking return, but Man United win through Mbeumo and Fernandes, and maybe that is the dreamer in me. And maybe my dreams will again turn to those FPL nightmares, but we just don't know. But yesterday, not a bad day, I suppose. Nico O'Reilly, only 4 points, 1 point fewer than Big Dan Burn. Not ideal, but again, I'm happy with the move, and I'm happy with the move for a couple of reasons. Yes, I've lost a point, but I feel like for my FPL mindset, it was a big call, and it's the sort of decision I wouldn't have made a few weeks ago. And will it prove my downfall? We don't know. We saw yesterday, my man, the D unit, he loves Phil. Like, I've never known a Man United fan love a Man City player more than D unit loves Phil Foden. I suppose late risers up there as well. It's bizarre to me. Like, Mookie Haley gets me 20 points. I don't think I'd be saying, oh, my boy, Mookie Haley. Like, come on now. Plays for your rivals. Take football a bit more seriously. You know, you should be tormented by the triumph. The tortured poet. That's what you need to be in this world, I believe. Well, certainly, you know, Mookie Haley, I've brought him in. No points, but I don't think he'll come off my bench. Oh, I'm losing my train of thought again. Yeah, Nico O'Reilly, I think he's a good signing for the longer term. You know, he could have had a lot more points than he got. And Big Dan Burn, I mean, we're going to have to start. He looked good, I think. Like, Dan Burn is England's best centre-back. You can keep your Gahey, you can keep your John Stones. None of them compare to Big Dan Burn. If England want to win the World Cup, they'll have Dan Burn at left centre-back. And he was excellent again yesterday. As those of us in the know were not surprised by, because like what it happened, it brought the balance. You know, that's what Newcastle have been missing. Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, and then the balance of Burn and the right-sided centre-back, who at the minute is Malik Chow. Like, there's a lot of players with weirdly pronounced names this season. Chow. How do you spell Chow? T-H-I. You know? But, I mean, he looked good. He did. He did look good. He does. He looked good, Malik Chow. And, you know, this is the other thing about Dan Burn, the sell. Not only will Nico O'Reilly, I believe, bring a lot of points in the coming game weeks, probably more than Big Dan Burn. I needed to reassess my Newcastle defensive options. Yes, I did think O'Reilly would smash him yesterday. No, he didn't. Yes, he probably should have, but that's the way this game goes. But I do think Newcastle's defence is one we need to be looking at now, because they've got Livramento back, the aura killer, Tino Livramento. And we've got Lewis Hall back, and that's pivotal for us. It completely transforms the way the Newcastle team plays football. And you saw that yesterday. A team that was directionless, aimless, ambitionless against West Ham and Brentford once they got that early goal. They got an even earlier goal, the earliest goal of the season yesterday against Everton, and they cranked up the pressure. They kept on going, and that's because we had them two engine rooms at full-back driving us forward. And Lewis Hall's the one. You want your Newcastle defender, Lewis Hall is the one. The question around him is, will he play every match? We just don't know. Like, we've got this midweek game. It would not surprise me. I was going to say, would it surprise me? But I don't know why I want to frame everything as a question. Why I can't just make statements. It's one of them weird YouTube quirks, I think. It would not surprise me if Dan Burn starts left back against Spurs. Just because Eddie Howe is managing Hall with his return from injuries. He's managed him very frustratingly for a Newcastle fan. We all know we need Hall in the team, and he's managed his return from injury, aiming for the longer term, aiming to get the most over the course of the season rather than the immediate game week. And I'm going to come back to that point because it's an important one about something we need to discuss. But yeah, I just think Lewis Hall, maybe not just yet, wait until, see, if he starts against Spurs, well, I suppose the problem then is you're going to think, well, he'll surely be rested against Burnley. And that could be the case. It could be that Eddie Howe, we know he values the physicality in the team this season. He's spoken about that before, and that's part of the reason he loves Big Dan Burn, along with his leadership. But yeah, you can just see it. Hall starting against Spurs, getting 2 assists and a clean sheet. And then it's like, well, surely he's going to be resting now against Burnley. But we'll see. Interestingly, we saw Lewis Miley at right back in Europe. Could be at times that Livramento plays left back and Miley plays right back, because Miley was sensational. Whew, what a player. So that's the good thing about the Dan Burn sale. It allows me, because lest we forget, in 2 game weeks, after this weekend, we're going to have to make a transfer every week. There's no rolling transfers if, like me, you are on the correct strategy of maintaining the 5 free transfers as long as possible. I know some people are looking at how they can reshape the squads already with these 5 free transfers. Not me. I want to maintain, I want to keep rolling, just make the 1 transfer a week. And I know you say, come on now, come on now, Nightmare. You are the hit master. Well, I'd say to that, well, I am not the lord of the hits because I keep getting them wrong. But also, all them hits have been to set my team up for the longer term. And that's kind of why I sold Burn as well, because I wasn't sure he's the one in the longer term. Chow, probably better at DEFCONs. Now he looks like an attacking threat from set pieces, which was, of course, the big thing holding me back from recommending him. But yeah, I think Hall's the one. A bit more expensive. And that leads me to the next thing. The transfer thoughts, early transfer thoughts, is going to have to be Nick Pope out. And do you know what? It's funny because I floated the idea of the hit for Donnarumma. And of course, if I'd done that, I would have been on the same points outcome because of the Donnarumma got 5 points, but I would have had the extra transfer. But I don't mind. 1, because I needed to break the hit cycle, but 2, because I'm just not convinced Donnarumma is the one. 5.7 million is a lot of money for a goalkeeper who doesn't make that many saves. So what I'm actually looking at, I haven't looked properly, I'll look properly through the day, but my initial thought is Dean Henderson. Because if I want to keep a spot open for Hall, and I've got O'Reilly, I've got Munoz, and I've got Timber, you add Lewis Hall to that mix, perhaps for Senesi, and then of course Mukiele as the 5th man, then there's no space for a second Palace defender, because I have been considering Lacroix. And if I don't have a second Palace defender, I can bring in Dean Henderson for 5 million, who is matching Donnarumma for clean sheets, might even be beating him. He's got 6. I think Donnarumma's got 5, but of course didn't play the opening fixtures. And then, so for save 0.7 million, match him on clean sheets, into that double Palace defence, and of course to save points. I think that might be the move. And of course the entry point is Burnley, who of course did score yesterday to break up them Brentford free hit defenders, which was a relief. But I tell you, that was a bit frustrating, because obviously there was the penalty for Thiago. How is he getting so many penalties? We don't question, we just accept the gifts. But like, he missed that penalty last week against Verbruggen, and I was sat there and I'm like, well, I've got him up front, but imagine if Dubravka saves this penalty and then he comes off my bench for Pope. That would have been one of those special FPL moments that always seem to go to other people, never to us. So that obviously didn't happen, but we had the consolation of the Thiago points anyway, and that is fine. Oh, I was hoping to get this video finished before 11 o'clock so I could nip over the road and get a sausage and egg McMuffin. But it's 10:53. I don't think I'm going to make the McMuffin because I'm making the videos for you, and I hope you're enjoying them. And speaking of the videos, I mean, that's pretty much everything from yesterday. I didn't have Foden. Shame. Life goes on. You know, I thought maybe Semenyo can match him, and you know, maybe Bruno Fernandes or Brian Mbeumo will match Foden. We'll see. We'll see later. But apart from that, I don't really think I'm that far behind the free hitters. I think it's turned out all right. Obviously, Dango Ouattara did well, but I think most people went Sharda, and, you know, Semenyo's matched Sharda, Voltemada's done the business, Thiago's done the business, O'Reilly's done somewhat the business. It could be worse. Decent start to the game week. But we'll see what happens today. But I do have a little special thing to tell you at this point before we finish filming part 1 and try and catch the McMuffin train. I've got a video coming out this week. Now I've got a few videos coming out this week, and basically all my videos this week are going to be walking ones or these quick reaction ones because I've got a lot of work on. Obviously there's the midweek game week. I'm just not going to have the time to do a sit-down recorded, edited video like I like to do. So we're just going to have to do it this way. And hopefully you can manage that. Hopefully later on we'll have a few stronger emotions, and we'll get into a bit more detail about this later. But big announcement, what I will have for you this week is my first ever guest on the FPL Nightmare YouTube channel. And this goes back to the big Soul versus Solio debate I am having with myself, the algorithms versus the emotions. FPL Fran got in touch. I said on the video last week, you know, maybe have a chat with Fran about it. Well, he got in touch. He said, get me on the channel. Well, he didn't. He said, let's have a chat. And I said, oh, please, can I record it, Fran? Your channel's way bigger than mine. It'll help me out loads. And he's a very gracious man, Fran. So I've got he obviously said yes. So we've got a nice long conversation between myself and FPL Fran coming up, where FPL Fran will be arguing to me, trying to convince me to the dark side, trying to lure me over the silver-tongued serpent of the FPL algorithm acolyte, trying to lure me over. And spoiler, he might just be getting there. He might just be getting there. But following on from that video, hopefully quite soon after, I'm going to give D-Unit, my old mucker D-Unit, I'm giving him the chance to save me from turning over to the algorithms. And I'm not talking about, you know, using transfer solvers. Oh, what's the best way to make your transfers? Tell me the players to pick. That's not what I want. I want to turn these algorithm programs back on, the algorithm acolytes, and I think I might be able to do that. But I am going to have to chat with the D-Unit first, let him make his case, because I am easily persuadable sometimes. And when something is offering a solution, it is tempting. But I am a fair man, and I will let D-Unit try and talk me out of it. So we'll call it here, because I don't want to ramble on too much. We have got the second part coming in just a few seconds, just for you, and the background will certainly be a lot darker. So here we are, and the sky behind me is not the only thing that is darkened. No, my mood is not in a very good place with this game we all love at this moment in time. This has not been a good Sunday. It has not been the Sunday that I hoped for, that I dreamed was possible when I left you last. And while, if I look around me on the street, we can see there are some glimmers of light behind me. There are a few shining stars keeping me going. It has been a very frustrating day. Yes, Bruno Fernandes, lovely stuff, 2 assists, very nice, very helpful. But I just don't know how these people keep getting away with it. I don't know how these algorithm acolytes keep on spawning the jam. I've never seen anything like it. And this game week, it reminds me of last season, game week 34, where everybody got the hive mind together and they all did what they all do. They all joined each other in doing the exact same thing. And you had that Sessegnon last minute goal, kick in their teeth. You had that Jose Sarr penalty save, kick in the teeth. Where's my luck? Where's my jam? Where's my spawn? You know, I could have had the penalty save. I could have had the jam of Dubravka saving from Thiago. But no, this isn't the week Thiago misses the penalty. He does it last week when I have him and so many don't. Oh, it's frustrating, like, I'm not going to lie. And I know you think, bloody hell, you're getting over-invested, Nightmare. Well, the point is, I am. Because I was so close, and yet so far away. Aston Villa, they all have Aston Villa defence. So, of course, the goal that Aston Villa conceded is ruled out dubiously. Of course, Wolves are conned. All the non-free hitters are conned. It's just hard. It is hard. It is hard when you make your decisions on instinct. When you make your decisions emotionally, you know. And like they've had Mo Salah miss out. Oh, whoop-de-doo, Mo Salah dropped to the bench. They've all had an Aston Villa defender come off. What a game we play. What a wicked web those FPL gods weave. And look, I will show you my team now. I will put it up on the screen. People keep asking me to put it up on the screen. So what I will do is just create a little gap there. I will turn off the tracking on my camera. And I will just move myself to the side so I can put my team up on the screen. I don't know if I'm going to do this all the time. So let me know how you feel about it. But these next couple of videos I have got, they're all going to have to be these walking videos because there's just not enough time between me work and between the game weeks for me to do a proper edited thing for you. So I've got my team up there. As you can see, Dubravka 1 point, well, we've talked about that. Munoz 1 point, you know, I'm not too disappointed. It's frustrating that he couldn't get a goal, but we did wonder if this is what would happen with Crystal Palace starting to look a bit tired, a bit leggy, and, you know, maybe on another day. But, you know, part of the reason he didn't keep the clean sheet is because Bruno Fernandes got 11 points, and I can't complain at that because Bruno Fernandes is much lower on than Daniel Munoz or the Crystal Palace defenders, so that was a bit of a bonus. Just a shame, eh? Like, why couldn't you just get a goal? If you just got a goal. Timber, 2 points. I mean, didn't really expect much more from him. But Saliba, missing out. Another kick in the teeth. You know, I'm not sure I would have got rid of Big Dan Burn if I'd have known Saliba was going to be out. I would probably have got rid of Senesi, started Big Dan Burn, but it is what it is. We make our choices, and now I have no Dan Burn, and next week, midweek, I have no Senesi. What can you do, huh? Nico O'Reilly, 4 points. We've talked about that. Decent enough, I suppose. Should have been an awful lot more. But it is what it is. He's going to get the points in the coming weeks. And Bumo, like, what a problem he is. He's frustrating. And it's much the same way as Semenyo. Both look good. Both had chances. Both came away with nothing. But I'll get back to that shortly in the transfer. I don't want to be out too late tonight because I'm freezing. It's bloody cold up north. Bad enough during the day. Night time, it's even worse. Fernandes, 11 points, great. Oh, Declan Rice, 4 points. That's not too bad, actually. That's quite handy, but this is what I keep saying about Declan Rice. He is the best midfielder in the game. He will always pick up the points. Always pick up extra points. And, you know, 6.7 million or whatever he is now. You're not got him, you're not playing the game right. I would make him a priority transfer. You know, we'll get these 5 free transfers. Maybe you can go without him for a couple more weeks. But certainly while Gabriel is out, God, I didn't see my breath. Certainly while Gabriel is out, there's no excuse not to have Declan Rice as your third Arsenal asset at the very least. It's just so good. Something like over 6 points average per game. in like 25 matches since he took on set pieces, adjusted for DEFCON. I mean, it's just elite numbers. Elite numbers. He's on course for a 200-point season. So, like, 6.7 million. It's positional snobbery if you don't have Declan Rice. Get him in your team. Semenyo, we've talked about. Thiago Voltemada, we talked about. Auto-Haaland. Now, I mean, I feel bad for them triple captainers because it was an absolute banker. It was an absolute banker, Auto-Haaland triple captain. You know, you've got the team in the worst form, playing against a team in elite form. Oh, somebody's got a little bird feeder there. Can you see that? Probably not, because I've put the tracking back on. Wow, bird feeder there. How cool is that? Middle of the street. You know, a team in elite form, a striker in elite form against a team in abysmal form. Probably going to sack the manager very soon. It's got them vibes. And of course, Haaland doesn't even, I don't think he even had a shot. And like, what can you do? This is the game we play. All the circumstances can line up and it'll still kick you in the teeth somehow. It will still find a way. Oh, this bloody game, like, it's frustrating, I'm not going to lie. And do you know what the funny thing is? I shouldn't really even be frustrated. Because if I look over at my Nightmares Dreamers mini league, if I look at my rank, I've actually risen 600,000 in the ranks. So on a non-free hit, on a massive free hit week, where everything could have gone wrong, has gone wrong, you know, Semenyo, goal and an assist denied by the foolishness of Evan Nilsson. Mbeumo getting himself another silly yellow card. You know, Voltemada maybe could have had more. Big Dan Burns sold. You know, everything that could have went wrong. My keeper missing out. Dubravka not saving the penalty. Everything that could have gone wrong. I've still got a 600,000 green arrow. So you'd think I'd be happy, but especially given how much chirpier I've been in recent weeks when I've done much worse. But I'm not happy. I'm not. Because I feel stupid. That is the big problem now. I feel stupid. Up to 682 points. And you know what? What's that? 138 points off the top of the Nightmares Dreamers. And that is a big distance, but that is actually the bare minimum of hope. Because in the first year of the FPL Nightmare books, I did 3 FPL Nightmare books. In the first year of them, King Ding, my mate Martin Bell, King Ding we call him, he was 120 points behind Big Steve in November, the butcher. 120 points behind, and he beat him by about 20 points, which is 140 points. Now here we are, the first year of the Nightmares Dreamers mini league, and at the end of November I am 138 points off the top. Do I think I can make that up? I'll be honest, I don't. I think this season is falling by the wayside, and it's a struggle. You know, the difference between the Nightmares Dreamers, saliva in my teeth. The difference between Nightmares Dreamers and the League of Gentlemen. I love the League of Gentlemen. I love it, but the Nightmares Dreamers is just a different calibre of competitor. You know, Big Steve was miles clear in the League of Gentlemen that I refer to. The Ox is now only 2 points ahead of FPL Fran, who you'll be able to see on this channel. What perfect timing. Only 2 points ahead of FPL Fran, only 4 points ahead of Let's Talk Andy, and then there's a bit of a gap down to FPL Harry. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. It is frustrating. But that is the thing, the challenge there is much different than it is trying to catch up with my mates. They're not engaged in the game, not as engaged, they're not as committed to the challenge, they're not as knowledgeable. They don't use the algorithmic programs, these projection models. So I don't think I can climb all the way back up the Nightmares Dreamers, and I'd like to. I'd like to think I could. I like to come on here and give the hero's journey narrative. This is the comeback. This is the start of the glory. You know, you can't have a rainbow without a little rain, as the great philosopher Dolly Parton would say. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. My challenge now, I've got to set my own goals. I've got to set the goal of, first of all, getting back ahead of Black Box As. The absolute shame of being behind Black Box As. Oh my word, that's how far I have fallen this season. Nah, I love Az, he's a great player. He deserves to get a bit of momentum, deserves to get back up these ranks, but it does rankle that he has caught me when I was so far ahead of him not so long ago. But that's my own choices, that's the hits, and like, oh, boom, oh man. And ironically, I should have taken hits this week. You know, if I'd have brought in Foden, if I'd have brought in Donnarumma, be in a much better position, but it is what it is. I'm getting followed here. It's a bit weird in the dark, especially when I've just had a bad dream. I went for my afternoon nap, had a bad dream that I was out filming, and then I got jumped, got mugged. But no. So what I will do, the only mug in this game is me right now. The only mug is the FPL Nightmare. And maybe part of the reason I am such a mug is because I keep refusing to use the programs, the algorithmic models, to inform my decisions. I'm not saying to solve the problems. That's not what I feel like these things should be for. But, you know, this conversation with Fran that I've got coming out probably on Tuesday, you'll see why my mind is changing. You'll see why my mind is opening. I don't want to give too much away because I'd like you to go and watch it. Something new on the channel for me. I'm quite nervous. Oh, I've got Gary Beer in my ear from the pubcast. Oh, wrong time to release it. Nobody will watch it. Nobody will watch it. But I have faith in my audience. I have faith in you to give it a chance. You know, in this week of inundation, sign this player, sign that player, play this chip, do this thing. I have faith that you'll be interested in this moral conundrum I am wrestling with and this kind of bigger picture conversation. And then hopefully I can get D-Unit on the following week. I think I'll have outwalked them stalkers now. Hopefully I can get D-Unit on the following week. That'll work out nicely. And then maybe I've got a third person lined up as well who would tie it all together, and then I'll make my decision then. But we'll see, because the timing on that one might not work. But yes, this is about FPL, and it's not been good. Like, I say it's not been good. I've risen 600,000 in the rankings. Massive green arrow. You'd think I'd be happy, but it should have been so much more. Those free hitters are so lucky. For the second season running, the free hitters have just absolutely spawned it. And just hard sometimes. It's hard, and I do feel silly. And this is why I'm considering these programs. I feel silly because, you know, it's like my mate Trigger says, you just can't take the risks. You shouldn't be taking all these stupid risks. Just play it safe. There's a reason all the experts, the elite players, the long-term, high-profile, engaged players play the game the way they do. And it's because this is the way that is proven to be successful. This is the long-term strategy. And I try and take it on. And you like, to be fair, the free hit was not right for my team this week because, you know, Fernandez went off, he did fine. Like other game weeks, it's like game week 16 is the one I'm really looking at because I can get Saka in for that captaincy. I can, you know, well, I don't even have, I've only got Voltemada, and I don't think I'll be dropping Voltemada. I don't know, maybe I won't go game week 16. Need to reassess. But what I do know is I won't be going in game week, well, maybe game week 14, you know, there's been a few players ruled out. Saliba out now, Senesi out. Munoz is not out, but if he'd gone out, it might have been interesting. But no, transfers. I'm going to have to do my transfer talk now. So I trust that you'll be able to keep up with us, even though I've not got fancy graphics on the screen giving you the details, because I'm not doing anything flash, really. There's two more things to discuss. The first one I saw on the pubcast last night with the late night lock-in, which is quite a raucous show, really. Quite passionate. If you're not one, start worth checking out. But they were talking about, is this the end of Auto-Captain Haaland? And I'm thinking, Auto-Captain Haaland was never the option. Like, why are people auto-captaining someone? Why aren't you thinking about it every game week? And I don't think Auto-Captain Haaland, I'm not saying Haaland, I think Haaland is probably a great captaincy option every game week. You know, you're never going to go wrong if you have Erling Haaland as captain. It's going to work out more often than it doesn't. But, like, my strategy, which I came up with a couple of weeks ago, based on the back of watching that video of my man FF Trout, he pointed out, you know, maybe you go against Haaland on the away games, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Going against Haaland when he's away from home. And this week, obviously, it might be Bruno Fernandes. I am tempted by Semenyo. And I know it sounds a bit strange, but I don't think Bruno Fernandes looked very good. He just managed to get some points, which, you know, I suppose is the name of the game. But I thought Semenyo did look good. More importantly, I thought, is it Man United for... It's Man United West Ham, isn't it? I should have. This is the sort of amateur hour stuff you get from me when it's the middle of the night and it's stone cold. I can't even remember who Man United are playing. Or, pretty sure it's Bournemouth West Ham. Let's have a look. No, yeah, that's it. Man United versus West Ham, that's who I thought it was. So, yeah. I mean, that's a good game for Bruno Fernandes. West Ham seem to be conceding a lot of goals to these central players. You know, fair enough, he's acted well, got the goal. Like I said about, I did tell a few people to gamble on Isak. Why go Salah on a free hit? Why not just gamble on Isak? That would have paid off for them, but not as much as Gakpo. Fair play to them. But yeah, Fernandes against West Ham could be good. Man United are just so weird. Like, you can't fully trust him. But Fernandes, he's picking up the points. Fair play to him. Haaland, Fulham away. I mean, that's a good game for Haaland. It's not a bad decision to captain Haaland away at Fulham by any stretch of the imagination. But I saw how bad Everton were against Newcastle. They were a shambles. Like, but then, you know, 5 days earlier, they were so resolute, unified, hard-working against Man United, and they won at Old Trafford with 10 men for 73 minutes. But then, it's just Man United. I do curse D-Unit for talking me into this double Man United attack approach, but, you know, we'll get to that now. So, yeah, my point is, I don't think it's the end of Auto-Captain Haaland, because I don't think Auto-Captain Haaland should ever have started. Like, it's safe and it's easy, and it's the sort of strategy the likes of Gary and Trigger Lips will go for. Just captain the most popular player, let the herd make the decisions for them. But you've got to pick a moment to attack. Is Fulham that moment? I don't know. Fulham are poor defensively. Sometimes the data was good last year, but the goals conceded was frequent. 5 clean sheets, not really what you're looking for. But Semenyo against Everton's an interesting one. Because if Semenyo had got the 5, 8, 10, 13 pointer, that is efforts deserved yesterday, then people will be like, Everton just got hammered. You know, Alanga, Harvey Barnes tore them open. Semenyo is at home to Everton, is a great shout. So, I'll have to have a think about that. I'm tempted by Voltemada, like, and I know you're going to think I'm stupid. But Spurs at home for Newcastle is a dark green arrow. It's probably one of the easiest fixtures we have every year. We hammer them. I think maybe they got a couple of results when Harry Kane and Heung-min Son were here, but they're not here anymore. So Voltemada is a differential captain. I don't know. I think he's probably differential enough. But it is in my mind, I'm not going to lie. So the transfers, though, this is going to be the big thing. If you look at, turn off the tracking. Don't actually know. Right. So there, I'll put the team up there. The transfers, I've got my team for the next week up on the screen there. And I mean, I think it looks fine, you know. You've got Pope against Spurs, although I don't think Pope will be in there. And then it's Dubravka against Palace if he isn't. It's not the end of the world, I don't think. Munoz versus Burnley, Timber versus Brentford, O'Reilly against Fulham, all very good. Mbeumo Fernandes against West Ham, Rice against Brentford, Semenyo against Everton, all very good. Then I've got Voltemada, Spurs, Fulham, Haaland at Fulham, captain at the moment, although I don't think I will. It's just not been changed on the graphic. And then Thiago. Now, Thiago's not ideal. It's starting to rain. Oh, no. Oh, no, my camera's not good in the rain. Thiago against Arsenal isn't the thing, but the transfers I'm looking at. I've seen a few people talk about selling Semenyo. I'll put the tracking back on. Few people talk about selling Semenyo. I don't think so. He's a great player. He's looking good. Oh, no, the rain. I just don't think that's the sort of player you want to sell. You talk like some people might have said sell Phil Foden. Look what he's just done. Semenyo can do that easily, as can Mbeumo. Longstaff is a possibility. I could bring in Elliot Anderson for Longstaff, or maybe someone else. We'll see. I don't like that move. But I could start Elliot Anderson over Thiago. That could work. But it just doesn't feel a high upside move. I wonder if there's another one I can find. I'll have to have a look at that. But the obvious one is obviously Nick Pope. Now, who do I bring in? I could bring in David Raya. But the problem I have with that is if I bring in Raya and then Gabriel's fit, that's 2 transfers to fix that. Unless I get rid of Timber, which I'm not against either. But I just feel like, especially with Saliba out now as well, I just don't think I want to be doubling up on the Arsenal defence just yet. Donnarumma was the one, but I just don't think Man City look all that great defensively. Yes, they've got several clean sheets. Is it 5? Maybe 6, I can't remember. But I just don't think they look that great. It's not one that inspires me with confidence, and like I said earlier, Donnarumma does not really have the save potential. Seen a few people say sells. Maybe sells, save a bit of money, or Verbruggen rotates nicely with Dubravka. I could have a look at him. Don't really like that option. The one I really am looking at, oh, the rain's coming down heavy now. The one I am looking at is Dean Henderson. And I thought he looked all right. Fair enough, he conceded the goals today, but I think Dean Henderson's a good one. If Palace are tiring, I feel like they'll probably tighten up at the back, especially with Sarr out. I think they'll probably have to get that defensive stability. So I feel like if I was to change my keeper, it'd probably be Dean Henderson. I think Burnley's a great entry point for him, but I don't know if it's the highest upside move there is. I wonder about a defender. I wonder about Senesi out. But again, I quite like Senesi, conceding a lot of goals. But again, 7 out of 7 DEFCONs now, away from home. 0.47 XGC at home. Like, it doesn't scream sell, even if, and maybe this is the algorithms getting into my head. It doesn't scream sell to me, but maybe I take a chance on Lewis Hall. That's Spurs, Burnley. But then if I bring in Hall and he doesn't play, like, is it better to bring in Henderson this week and have no real upside over Dubravka, maybe a few points? Or do I take the gamble, getting Lewis Hall for Senesi? If Hall misses out, well, Senesi would have missed out anyway. But Hall, I mean, he's got clean sheet potential. He's got such attacking potential as well. Obviously, there's Malik Chow as well. Then I've just sold Dan Burns, so bringing back a Newcastle one does seem a bit odd. But then, at the same time, if it's the right move, you've got to let the past go in this game. You can't cling to the past. In this game, you can only make the right decision. I'm not sure. I'll have a think tomorrow when I'm a little bit less emotional about the absolute fluke jobs that are the algorithm acolytes. So thanks for watching this. I hope you watch my video with FPL Fran. Let me know how you feel about all that. And now, if it's the right decision, it doesn't matter what's gone before. That is something I need to consider deeply. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to get out of this rain and I will see you next time.